Question 12b from our Term 1 exam for Year 11 asks students to outline how the determinants of health challenge the notion that health is solely an individual's responsibility, and this was worth 6 marks. So we're looking here at just a couple of our areas of the question, determinants of health, and they challenge the notion that health is solely an individual's responsibility. So in this answer, you need to show a way in which it's, the health of an individual should be coming from all the determinants of health, not just purely the individual's responsibility. We're going to have a look at our syllabus. What we'll find is that it's going to come under 2 areas. So first of all, it's going to come under the determinants of health. So these are the factors here: individual, socio-cultural, socio-economic, and environmental factors that would need to be covered in your answer. It also has a little aspect of the social construct where it talks about challenges the notion that health is solely an individual's responsibility. And if you look over here the other side, the Learn To, investigate how the determinants of health explain why some individuals and groups have better or worse health than others. So this is sort of tying in what our question's about between the two of them. But importantly, the nuts and bolts is coming back to our determinants of health. And we should be able to get socio-cultural in there because we've just completed that one from the previous question. We have a look at our sample answer here. Remember, this is worth 6 marks. So what the students needed to do for this answer is they need to be showing how, by outlining, that it's not just individual's responsibility, that all the determinants of health, the ones we spoke about, socio-cultural, socio-economic, environmental factors, and individual factors, all going to have an impact on an individual's health. You need to include those 4 main factors in there. So again, they were individual factors, socio-cultural factors, socio-economic factors, and environmental factors. So we go through it here. Again, a little bit of an English introduction. We don't need to have that in there. Straight into our answer. The lifestyle and behavioural health determinant focuses mainly on the behaviours of the individual. So there's our first one, individual factors, such as his or her participation in sport and any risk-taking behaviours. There's some examples that he may be involved in, such as the consumption of alcohol and the use of tobacco and marijuana. So that's going to have an impact on his health, and that's what we're showing. However, health is also dependent. So he's reinforcing what the question's asking us to do. It's also dependent on a person's socio-cultural factor, socio-economic factor, and environmental factors that affect him. So there's the first one, individual factor. There's the other 3 that need to be included from the syllabus. He then goes through. If you look at the setting out, straight away I know that socio-cultural's there, socio-economic's there, and environmental factors are there. Socio-cultural factors include the impact of the mass media on a person's family and a person's peers. Examples would include the media portrayal of youth, giving young people negative self-esteem and peer pressure exerted by our friends. Socioeconomic factors include the influence of a person's employment, income and education on his health. So again, tying it back to what the question's asking, looking at his health. For example, someone who has a better job generally has a higher level of education and gets paid more than those who don't. And the final area, the 4th area of what our syllabus required for this answer, was the environmental factors. Include mainly the pollution of the area in which a person lives. Maybe could have linked in there something. This is going to have an impact on his health. Ben gives a little summing up here. Thus, we can conclude that health is not solely dependent on the individual, but also the media, his or her peers, and where he or she lives, just to name a few of them. So as you can see, the setting out was quite good. The areas were covered. He was reinforcing what the question wanted him to do, that it's not just the individual's responsibility, and it was well set out. Just looking at some of the overall feedback from the question, again, people had an English introduction. The determinants of health are, and they'd list them down the page. We don't need to be doing that. You're wasting space. You don't need to rewrite the question in the first 4 or 5 lines and list all the determinants down the page. Examples were needed for each area to show what we were talking about. Some people struggled to get all the determinants actually in there, and they're only able to come up with maybe 1 or 2 of the determinants. Again, that's just knowing our syllabus and being able to get more information in there. But look, overall, I thought students setting out was quite good. For the stronger students who did quite well in this question, their setting out was very good, underlining and which way had their syllabus content. Some of them the better students were able to include the 4 determinants, and they related it back to the question of what it was asking us to do. So that was what this question was, and it was worth 6 marks.